In astrology, we have something called Pitrudosha. So, we look at the horoscope of the client and we listen to whatever life situation he talks about, and we then look for what astrologers call Pitrudosha. Now, in my opinion, there is not a single horoscope in which there will not be Pitrudosha of some kind of the or the other. The intensity might vary. The intensity may be different in different charts, but there is no doubt that Pitrudosha of some kind will certainly show up in the chart. So, let us see what this Pitrudosha is all about, and let us connect it to the things that we have learnt so far. So, when we talk of the pen drive metaphor, what we are actually saying is that we are full of information, trillions and trillions of bits of information, and all that information resides in one part of the mind which we call the unconscious mind. If we just look at the mind, the structure of the mind, we will find that there are four aspects to it, four aspects to whatever we call the mind. Now, what are those four aspects? The first is what is known as the unconscious mind, and like the name itself suggests, unconscious means we do not know anything about it. When a person is unconscious, he does not know what is happening around him, everything is happening around him, but he is not aware of what is happening around him because he is unconscious. So, information which resides in the unconscious mind is information about which we are not aware, and that is a huge part, a very, very big part is what we are calling the unconscious mind. Because we are something like those pen drives, and just as when a pen drive is connected to a device and the device has a screen and all the files and folders open out on the screen of the device, although the information is there in the pen drive, it is showing up on a screen outside because the pen drive is connected to a device. So, also what we call life is connected to a body. It is connected to a body, and when life is connected to that body, whatever exists inside the mind will all show up on the screens outside, because we have physical senses which are outward bound. So, we see everything which is actually within us, we see outside, and that information is there in the unconscious mind, and for this lifetime a small portion is earmarked, and those are the files and folders which we will have to look at in this lifetime. This is what the unconscious mind is about, all the information which exists. Now, from birth and even prior to birth, from the time the mother carries the baby in the womb, those files which have to be examined in this lifetime will have to move up from the unconscious mind to the subconscious mind. As long as the baby is in the mother's womb, the sifting and sorting of files is happening in those 9 months. So, everything that the mother feels, everything that the father feels, everything that is happening in that family, things related to that are going to be transferred from the unconscious mind of the parents to the unconscious mind of the child which is yet to be born. This is the family drama. Now the child takes birth. That information resides in the unconscious mind of the child. See, the unconscious mind of the child contains many things already. But out of that, now some portion this child is going to look into in this lifetime. So, those files have been transferred from here to there. But when birth happens, from birth, from the moment the child takes its first breath, that first breath determines what we call the horoscope. And the horoscope is an indication of all the files and folders which have to be examined in this lifetime. So, from the moment of birth to the age of, let us say, 3, sometimes 5, and at other times even 7, depending on the position and strength of the moon, because the moon is the emotional mind. Up to the ages of 3, 5 and even up to 7 sometimes, things that are happening around this newborn child, they will keep moving from the unconscious to the subconscious part of the mind. The subconscious is slightly, at a higher level than the mind positionally, not in strength. Positionally, it is higher than the unconscious mind. So, all that information that the child receives up to ages 3, 5, 7 will get transferred to that subconscious mind. How? Because now the child is born, the 5 senses are there. Although the child is not actually obviously registering anything, its mind is not developed, nothing has developed, but the subconscious mind is open. So, everything that is happening around the child is going to get registered in that subconscious mind, and these things which have got registered have compulsorily to manifest in life. There is no escape from that. They will manifest unless the child grows up and with the help of its conscious mind, which is higher positionally than the subconscious mind, with the help of the conscious mind, now the child has to correct those impressions that it received in childhood, or which were transferred to it in the form of files and folders in the unconscious mind, or which it received up to the ages of 3, 5, 7 in the subconscious mind. The child has the option to use its conscious mind and to make corrections to all those impressions which have been received by it subconsciously before the ages of 3, 5, 7. So, it becomes the child's responsibility. So, the unconscious mind, when the baby is in the mother's womb, whatever is happening with the mother, with the father, things around, they are getting, from the unconscious, they are going to the child's unconscious. They may go from the parent's unconscious, they may go from the parent's subconscious, they may go from anywhere in the parental mind, that does not matter. What matters is that it is being received in the unconscious mind of the child. So, this is the syllabus for this lifetime. Then after birth, that unconscious material which has to be examined in this lifetime has to become subconscious. So, things will happen around that baby up to the ages of 3, 5, 7. Now, this baby will grow up, will witness many things in its growing years. It will touch the age of 23, etc., and it will grow even further. And from that subconscious, from the lowest levels of the subconscious, where the child received something passively, up to the age of 3, 5, 7, the child was not doing anything. It just received, whether it registered, whether it paid attention, it just received. But in its adult years, around from 23 to 30, there will be many things from this subconscious which it has received in its early years. They will rise higher up in the subconscious mind. They will just rise higher up within the subconscious mind, and now they will come into conscious awareness in the adult. So, the unconscious became subconscious, the subconscious became conscious, because now the child has grown up into a healthy adult, and between the ages of 23 and 30 it is witnessing many things that it had passively received from birth to age 3, 5, 7. So, it is very wise to look at everything that has happened between age 23 and 30 for a young adult, and connect it with everything that might happen, that might have happened with that child up to the age of 7, let us say 3, 5, 7 in different children. Now, at the age of, let us say 30, 23 to 30, when that young adult witnesses some things, now what is happening is that that subconscious thing is becoming conscious. And so, now it is the adult's responsibility to make suitable corrections and correct those files and folders because of which the child has been born. It has taken birth to examine those files and folders, and it has to examine those files and folders. So, we have seen how those files and folders make their journey from the parental side to the unconscious aspect of the child, then they rise up to a low level of the subconscious mind, then somewhere around the age of 30 they rise up to a higher level and they become conscious. So, they have risen even higher, and now it becomes the child's responsibility to take care of this. Now, we come to the fourth aspect of the mind, which we call the superconscious. That is who I am. The superconscious is who I am. It is that power which I am born with, never mind how many afflictions or doshas or problems my horoscope may show. That power is the power which I am born with, superconscious. And my job is to use my conscious mind and access that superconscious and make corrections in those subconscious things. In this matter, now this is what we are calling Pitrudosha. When we look at a horoscope, I don't know how other astrologers deal with it, and I do not want to go into all that. But the way I look at the chart, the horoscope gives information about two things. What is the potential in that chart? Which means what is the potential of that person who has come to ask me. Second, what are the obstacles that the chart is showing? Only these two pieces of information are vital. What is the potential, inherent potential in the chart? In other words, what is the potential in this human being? And the second is, what are the paperweights placed on it? What are the obstacles? What are the hurdles in the way which have got to be removed? Those are the files and folders which will have to be removed. This is what we are calling Pitrudosha, or at least this is what I am calling Pitrudosha, because once these files and folders are taken care of, this does not belong to the child. This has come from the ancestors, including the parents. And so, these are the things that this child, after the child becomes an adult, the adult will now have to take care of all this. So, again we come back to the question, what is Pitrudosha? Pitrudosha refers to all those obstacles which the horoscope is showing. And what are those obstacles? Those obstacles are thought patterns, feelings, mindsets of ancestors, including the parents. And somewhere those ancestral patterns are going to become an obstacle in this child's way, and this child has to grow up to be an adult, and he has to stop practicing some things as they have always been practiced in the family in the name of culture, tradition, this and that, and the child has to grow into a healthy adult and make those corrections that those ancestors were not able to make. So, Pitrudosha in the horoscope means this, the set of obstacles, and those obstacles are in reality ancestral patterns of thinking, feeling, behaviors, whatever life situations our ancestors were in, including our parents, and they could not make some corrections because they were in an earthly state, they taught themselves some things, they lived life not from who I am, but who I think I am. So, our ancestors have made the mistake of living life not from who I am, but from who I think I am. And as long as they were in those earthly bodies, they thought it right to conduct themselves from who I think I am. But once the soul leaves the body and the soul is free of the body, the soul knows who I am. And so those ancestral memories within us, those very ancestors are now urging us to make those corrections which they were unable to make in their own lifetimes. So, when we are faced with a particular situation in life which appears insurmountable, it is a very, very clear message to look into the family history and to try and unravel that whole thing. every knot has to be untied, then the hurdles go. At level 3, the astrologer may say you go and put this coal in water, or you do give this green gram dal. That kind of thing is faith based and belief based. But now when we take charge of our lives, we move to a much higher dimension. This is a completely different dimension of life. We have left that level behind. We need to understand, let me try and explain it this way. Suppose you were to be climbing a ladder. What would you do? You have climbed up to, let us say, step 5, suppose, and you have to climb to the 6th step. What do you have to do? Can you stay on step 5 and climb to the 6th step? You cannot do it. You will have to, climb by holding something higher. You climb up to the 6th step and you leave the 5th step behind. So that leaving behind has to happen compulsorily. The correction will not happen till the mindsets which went before us, till they are corrected. So that is the correction that Pitrudosha demands. What we call Pitrudosha is planetary afflictions, and those afflictions are mindsets, views, thinkings, feelings of ancestors. Earthly bound ancestors have experienced life in a particular way. They may have been guided by society, they may have been controlled by families, they may have had 1000 restrictions on them, and so they perforce behaved out of who I think I am. But once the soul is freed from the body, the soul knows who I am, and the soul knows that I need not have lived life from who I thought I was. But in its earthly form, because of those restrictions, it was not able to do it. Now that the soul is freed from the body, those very energies which we call Pitru, they will torment us, and they will make us do those corrections because they know that we have the power to do those corrections. They did not know when they were alive that they had the power all the time. Today, when they are freed of the body, they know that we have the power, and they are urging us to exercise that power. So, when we learn and understand these things, we learn to access our power, we learn to drop some mindsets, some thinking patterns, some feelings, some behaviors which have been practiced within families and cultures. We drop those, and we just see what we are calling who I am, and we look at things from that perspective.